These are easily the best quality Jordans to release in 2024. What's up, sneaker people? It's your boy FB QCING Gear, and we are back with part 2 of our ultimate legit check guide for the Jordan 3 Maniere Black. I don't even know what the fuck we're calling these, right? Black Manieres. That's what we're doing, the Jordan 3s. And like I mentioned, we're coming back with part 2. I really encourage you guys to watch the first part because these legit check guides are to be taken in total, not in bits and pieces. So watch the first video, watch this video, make sure you're providing yourself the best opportunity to have as much of a well-rounded picture as you can so that you can make the best decision for yourself, and hopefully I can prevent you guys from being scammed. With that said, we have my authentic pair straight from Maniere on the left, and we have the replica pair here on the right. And just like in every video that I do, you can find more pictures of the replica pair on the Instagram account that's going to pop up on the screen. We know why we do that. Those pictures are there for you guys to do your deep dive, look at the details, maybe go into a little bit further depth of the stuff that I talk about in this video so that you can really inform yourselves and know what is what. So go to that Instagram account on the screen, inform yourself, continue to keep yourself educated, because if you don't, then you're liable to spend 200 bucks on a fake shoe, which is not 200 bucks. So all that said, let's get into the video. I talked about the box in the previous video, and this is largely the same box. So a lot of the same things apply. The box sizes are completely different. You got a very large box for the rep and a lot slimmer, more compact box for the authentic pair. All of the corners on the replica pair are rounded and bulgy, while the corners and edges on the authentic pair are sharp. The biggest difference between the boxes, believe it or not, outside of, you know, things like the color and the overall presentation and the quality of the authentic box being significantly better than the quality of the rep box, the labels are different. You can see that the gold in the Jumpman and the Jordan.com are definitely different, and there are differences in the boldness and weights of the text. So take a look at that. It's usually easiest to see on the smallest text, so I usually look at the made in China stuff as the smallest text on the box label, and you'll be able to see that. But other than that, here are the replicas on the top. You can see those side profile differences and the overall condition there. You can definitely see the corrugations all the way underneath on the rep, and it's just not the case on the authentic pair. So that's the box. So let's spend the rest of the time speaking about the shoes. And here we have the side by side, and this pair is a little bit different from the first pair that I did, but you can definitely notice some of the themes popping up on the first pair that I did compared to the authentic. And a lot of similar stuff is going on, but different nonetheless. First thing that I'm noticing, we'll put these side by side and do that classic view that we like to do. First thing I'm noticing is that the violet ore color on the suede on both shoes are a lot closer in color than the first pair for sure. Take a look at the suede color. I'd say maybe the rep pair is a tad bit more faded, while the authentic pair is just a bit more vibrant in that violet ore, but they are fairly close, definitely closer than the previous pair that I did in my opinion. And as far as the material feel, they feel very close. One thing I will mention though, and this tends to be something that I notice across reps altogether, when you start getting into this shorter hair nubuck, especially ones with texture, it feels drier than on the authentic pair. And I don't really know how to capture that, but that's what it feels like. It feels drier. This definitely has a lot more transition than the authentic pair as well, meaning that the hairs and the textures are longer on the rep than they are on the authentic pair. But visually, definitely looking pretty close. And you know, you can look at this the beginning of the tongue to see that. From there though, we look at the uppers, and just like the first pair that we did, we are seeing some differences in the upper makeup. The upper of the authentic pair is super glossy, pretty soft and plush, and the replica pair, while still being pretty soft and plush, it's not glossy at all. The tumble grain is like microscopic compared to the authentic pair, and I know that that can change and varies because of the type of material, but nonetheless, that combined with the fact that this is more matte than gloss is a good legit checking indicator in my opinion. Take a look at this side here. I can also feel that the authentic pair just has a tad bit more padding up on the top. You can see all of the panels and cuts are a little bit more bulbous on the authentic pair than they are on the rep, which is interesting. But overall shape wise, I would say outside of the standard Jordan 3 replica business that we see here with the thicker elephant print cuts. I know this is suede, but you know, this cut is usually an elephant print. You can see how much thicker it is on the rep pair than it is on the authentic. I always note in this area right here how it extends further on the rep. It's a little bit more chunky. This is something that I've noticed on Jordan 3 replicas forever. It's just something that they don't get right, and I don't know why. I don't, and I can't explain to you, but it is what it is. It's a legit checking indicator nonetheless. But in terms of the materials, the suedes definitely feel very similar. The replica pair is just a tad bit thinner of a cut, if that makes sense, but they're definitely the same type of suede. Moving on to the bottom of the shoe, we are seeing the colors, and I'll say this is probably the closest sole that I've seen on a replica in general, because usually the colors are pretty off, but they're actually pretty close here. The gray violet color on the bottoms are relatively close. There's a slight difference in color for the burgundy part of the forefoot. You can see the authentic pair is just a little bit darker, and kind of the same thing goes on with the Nike Air on the heel as well. Speaking of the heel, let's look at the heel tabs. Honestly, outside of the slight difference in color, the Nike Air is a little bit darker of a cream than the authentic. They look almost identical. Maybe some faint spacing differences between the authentic and the rep, but other than that, they look pretty identical. Because, like I mentioned, the authentic pair has a little bit more padding in the body, you can see that the authentic pair is wider than the rep, which the rep kind of looks a little bit narrow from the back. And you can see a slightly higher suede patch for where the elephant print is. Outside of that, the midsoles are very, very close. It's funny to see them get midsoles so close because it is just usually a huge miss on these aged colored midsoles for replicas. They're never exact, but these look very good, even down to the black matte midsole part. I'd say maybe the authentic pair is a little bit deeper of a black, but outside of that, very, very close. There isn't really much else to talk about, to be honest. You've got the quilted inside liner when you compare to the rep. One of the things that I'm noticing is that the quilting is a lot deeper on the authentic pair than it is on the rep. You can see that the squares are much larger and flatter, while quilting stitching really digs deep and causes that separation for the squares. The inside of the tongue, the colors and the patterns seem to be very close, if not identical. I'd say the rep pair is a little bit more defined where those A's are, but very close nonetheless. I gotta say, replica manufacturers definitely, they were quick trying to get a close batch to the market, and I think they succeeded in their attempt. Let's take a look at the hang tags, because that was a source of difference. It still looks like it's darker on the rep pair than it is on the authentic. And when you look at the brown tags on there, specifically focus on quality goods and handmade with care, that to me is what really sets them apart. You can see the difference in the quality of the text, but that's the tag. From there, we'll take a look at the laces and then we'll get into the blacklight test. But looking at the laces, you not only see a slight difference in color, but you notice that the authentic pairs are wound a specific way with the laces kind of tucking into the center, while the rep does not have that. It's wound traditionally, just regular wound laces. You could definitely see a difference in color, not huge, but the authentic pair is definitely just a little bit brighter. And then when we take a look at the violet pair, same kind of deal, but more of a stark color difference in my opinion. You can see that the rep is just a little bit grayer as opposed to maroon, if that makes sense. But you also see that different style of winding the laces as well. So yeah, that's the laces. And that's pretty much the accessories too. So let's do the blacklight test and we'll wrap up the video. So let's get into the blacklight test. In the last video, we found that there is really not much of anything that glows on this. Obviously you can see some of this mysterious goo on my authentic pair when you shine the black light on it. But in the previous video, we found that the only real things that light up on the authentic pair is the air bubble on the inside, slightly on the Nike Air on the back. It's not a huge vibrant reaction, but it reacts. And the biggest identifier was the lace holes on each side. They're maroon, kind of violet or burgundy without the black light, but when you shine the black light on them, they go orange. So let's see if the rep has anything going on that identifies it. So we're going around, we're not really seeing much like the last pair, nothing really shining bright, a little bit of glow on the air bubble, not as bright or vibrant as the authentic pair, but still there nonetheless. Nike Air on the back, similar deal, kind of reactive, but not super crazy. And we're not really seeing anything else on the upper. But when we go to the lace holes, we are not seeing any reaction, or at least not a similar reaction. These kind of glow purple, if that makes sense, almost like a light pink, which is interesting because the previous pair, other batch that we did, didn't glow at all. It didn't react at all. These kind of glow like a purple. And when you do it side by side, you can see night and day, not the same. I didn't do it in the previous video, but we should probably do the laces as well. Obviously the black laces on the shoe don't glow. They don't glow on the rep either. The cream laces, no glow at all. We can see that from inside the box. And the violet ore laces, no glow. For the replicas, no real glow on the cream. They glow a little bit differently because they're not exactly the same color, but definitely no reaction. And on the violet, no glow at all. So it looks like the identifier here will be, again, those lace holes. Interesting, something small can give it away. So that's pretty much it, guys. This is the part 2 for the Jordan 3 Maniere. As I mentioned before, are these shoes legit checkable? Absolutely. There are other little intricacies that you can look for, like the embossing for the Jumpman on the tongue and the placement of it. You can see that just in this little video snapshot here, the Jumpmen are not the same exact size and they're not positioned in the same way either. Same thing goes for the A's. There's other little tiny intricacies that you can look, but you know what? I will say that if you want to buy an authentic pair and you are out there on the streets trying to find the best deal, I think you'll be able to legit check them pretty easily. You just got to know what the source material looks like. So with that said, guys, remember, you can see more pictures of the rep on the screen. Do your research, guys. Please, please, please do your research. I get a ton of questions asking about things that I've gone over in the video, and it kind of defeats the purpose, right? Like, I know you guys like me, but it kind of defeats the purpose. So do your research, study up, know what you're looking for, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.